Hello, and welcome back to another edition of Carrie's Gardening Channel. So today is June 21st, 2020, and what I wanted to talk to you about today in this video is a perennial flowering plant called Rose Campion. And you can see the blooms on this one here. This one here is blooming for me. Now, Rose Campion is a perennial in zones 4 to 8. Now, if it gets a really cold winter in zone 4, it's possible that it will die out on you, but this plant readily reseeds itself if you don't continuously deadhead it. And if you do decide to deadhead this plant, it will continue to bloom, but as you kind of get later in the season, what you can do is let a few of them go so that they can reseed themselves. Now, this plant here is known as what they kind of call a filler plant, and it can kind of fill in around some of your other perennials, and it has beautiful blooms on it, has a lovely gray fuzzy foliage to it. Some people call it Dusty Miller, but it would be like a perennial Dusty Miller. And this plant here prefers full sun to part shade, and it prefers a more drier soil than, you don't want to plant it in like a soggy, wet soil. Now, this plant here will bloom in its second year from seed. First year it'll come up, it'll have its foliage, and then the second year it's going to bloom for you. And this particular plant here works great as like a cottage garden type theme. I like to, just let it kind of go in my flower bed. And it does attract butterflies and bees. And it is deer resistant, but that doesn't mean that it is deer proof, because if you have a really hungry deer, or a deer who just decides to eat whatever you have in your garden, it can still take a munch on it, which doesn't make you the happiest. So deer resistant and deer proof does not always mean that they're not going to eat them. It just means that they're kind of not supposed to. It's not kind of like their top choice for eating. And this plant here is drought tolerant, so it can tolerate drier soils. Now, you don't want to let it wilt. If you have like a long period where you don't get rain, go ahead and give it some water so that it doesn't wilt on you. When plants wilt, it can really stress them. So, if you see it kind of wilting, just go ahead and give it some water and it'll perk back up for you. Now, this plant here, if you want to start the seeds for this plant, they do require some special care to start the seeds. They require them to be chilled, which what I would recommend doing is when you get your seeds, go ahead and put them in a Ziploc bag and put them in the refrigerator for at least 2 weeks. And then go ahead and plant your seeds after those 2 weeks. And they do require light to germinate, so you don't want to cover the seeds. You just kind of want to put them down and press them into the soil and just let them go. If you cover seeds that need light to germinate, most of the time your seeds aren't going to come up for you. And another thing that you can do is you can sow the seeds out while it's still like winter time, and just kind of scatter them across where you want them to come up at, and just let them come up on their own then by nature. So if you never grew Rose Campion before, it's a plant that I really like. I love the blooms. It has an attractive foliage to it. Go ahead and give it a try. So if you like my video, please like, comment, subscribe. Please don't forget to hit the little notification button. That will tell you when I put a new video on. You can also follow me on Twitter. I have a link down in the description for my Twitter account. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a nice day. Bye!